I guess the thing is when you go to Asia and you're called an ABC, it's not a negative thing. It sometimes can be a good thing. You get more perks. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like when I go to Asia, because of my skin color, I'm a little darker. People automatically know that I'm an ABC. No matter where in Asia I go, like they know I'm American.
Really? Because like
uh,
I'll go to Korea and they'll like speak to me in Korean and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. And then they still speak to me in Korean and I'm like, cool. So then you know how I communicate? Body language. Because guess what? Your girl doesn't know Korean, even though my last name's Lee. A lot of people from Taiwan, our last names are also spelled Lee.
well, your last name's Lee. You're of paler skin, so.
You can't tell right now though, the flirting makes me look pretty. Not tan. I mean, yeah, anyways.
But yeah, so I think it's being called ABC in, let's say, Asia, you have to act a certain way. Um, it comes with a certain way.
Yeah. They expect you to like dress a certain way, for example, or they'll
Hmm.
like, you know what? It's not a bad thing, like necessarily, but I realize that it goes both ways though, actually. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about how, let's say for me personally living in Taiwan right now, how when people see me and they're like, oh, you're so ABC, like um maybe the things that they might say, and then as well as the same, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about, I guess, as an ABC though, how I do cling to that identity very strongly here at the same time because it gives me a sense of belonging. So like as in like ABC, they don't expect you to have good Chinese. So basically, if I say like, oh yeah, if I'm speaking in Chinese, I meet someone for the first time, I speak in Chinese, and then they're like, oh yeah, so like when did you go to move to America? And I'm like, oh, I was born and raised in America. And they're like, oh, like no, but like when did you like maybe like did you were born there? Maybe you came back to Taiwan and you lived here for a few years and then your family moved. And I'm like, no. I was literally like born and raised my whole entire life in America. I only came back to Taiwan for the summers for like 2 weeks max when I was young. So there's that expectation that, oh, ABC equals terrible Chinese, which can't blame them. Most ABCs do have really bad Chinese. I mean, Chinese is a very hard language to learn anyways. There's also the way that you dress. There's just people like to put certain types of styles and clothings and whatever, and they like to put labels on it. So, which is something we're going to touch upon later too. In America, when people are like, "Oh, you dress like such a fob," whereas here they're like, "Oh, you dress like such an ABC," or like I've had people say, "Yeah, you're the entire vibe you give off is just like ABC." And I mean, I don't mind it because I am an ABC, and sometimes it's actually my safe spot, so I can be like, "Oh yeah, I'm ABC," so I don't really like um or like not that my safe spot, but like I like to connect with other ABCs because honestly,
Hmm.
culturally, like we just kind of understand each other better. But at the same time, it's like, wow, like it's like you understand because it's like people sometimes they try to put a certain label on you to get to know you, or it's like a topic to talk about when they first meet you. But then sometimes, like if they keep going back to it, that's when you're like, all right, we get it. I am an ABC and I can speak Mandarin. Uh, is there more we need to talk about this? Like, do we need to
Yeah.
keep going back to this? Do we need to keep touching upon this? Like, I don't think so. I think it's like a thing. It's like, oh yeah, like when you meet for the first time, I'm like, hi, my name's Alice, and you're like, hi, my name's Evelyn, and I'm like, oh yeah, so you're Evelyn. Evelyn's like, yeah, yeah. I'm like later, I'm like, yeah, so you're Evelyn.
Hmm. Yes.
Just it's just kind of like, yeah, we get it already. We don't need to keep talking about it.
Hmm. No, I think it's like that here as well. Like ABC, if you're ABC here, you're expected to not say not know Chinese, but your Chinese isn't too great. It's funny because
Yeah.
earlier today, I was basically calling this person for work, and I was talking to them, and then I was talking to them in English, and then they gave me like this other person's phone number, and they were like, okay, can you go get information from them? And I was like, okay, yeah. And then I was like, oh, does she speak English or Mandarin? And the person was like, oh, do you speak Mandarin? And I was like, oh, yeah, I can. And he was like, oh, like you can communicate fully in Mandarin. And I was like,
Is this, wait, question,
I,
is this
uh-huh.
person that you're speaking to, is he a Mandarin speaker too?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
an
yeah. He's
older person
older.
or
Yeah, he's
like,
a little
oh,
older.
okay.
Yeah, he's like a parent.
Okay.
So yeah, he was like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can speak Mandarin." So we spent like not 5 minutes, I think that's 3 minutes just talking about if I can speak Mandarin or not, like him questioning me. And I was like, okay, thank you.
It's so funny because it's like we're not saying that you can't say that or you can't be shocked when you find out
Yeah.
that we can speak Mandarin, because I get it. Like really, a lot of ABCs can't speak Mandarin. But at the same time, it's like, okay, once we've kind of established it, let's try to move on from it, and let's not dwell on it too much, because then it just makes the conversation, it starts getting uncomfortable for us because we're like, we've already
Yeah.
told you we can, so I don't know what you want me to say, like suddenly to lie to you and be like, actually no, maybe you're right, I can't. Like, what do you want me
Yeah.
to say?
Like I get it in the sense that like, oh yeah, like they're surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah, usually a lot of like older generation people, like my Chinese isn't too great, but it's conversational, and a lot of
it's
older
pretty good
generation people
for who
for
we are.
ABC.
Yeah, for ABCs.
But
We're
yeah,
putting
they're
that
always
label on
like,
ourselves too.
they're always like, oh, like, you're born here, like, how come you know Chinese? And I'm like, oh, well, girl, like, I've been to Chinese school since I was like 7 for like
Has
10
Okay, but a
years.
lot of ABCs have and their Chinese still
That's
sucks.
true. But then we also karaoke, so that has helped me read a lot.
Oh,
No
really?
lie though. Yeah,
Oh,
karaoke and watching like Chinese shows with like subtitles,
yes, yes,
with like
yes.
Chinese subtitles, like has really improved my
Improved.
reading.
Me too, actually. I think that's also how I learned simplified Chinese, because when I went to Chinese school, they taught me traditional Chinese,
Me
and
too.
then I really learned how to read simplified Chinese from watching like Chinese shows and dramas and
Shows.
stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's what ABC is known for. One of the
Hmm.
things that ABCs are known for, not
Is
being
being
able to
terrible at
speak.
Chinese. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and then going back to kind of like